Hello, it is 12 o'clock. It is lunchtime live time. So I hope you are ready for today's lunchtime live. We're going to be talking about, hello, Patty. We're going to talk about change versus stagnation and what are you sitting in and what is your spirit saying to you? What is your spirit, your heart wanting you to do? So, welcome to today's lunchtime live. I'm going to take a minute and just say hello to everybody. Smoozy. Hold on, I have to put my glasses back on. Lynn Lou. Hello, Lenny Lou, sorry. Carrick's Boutique. How are you doing? Josie. Car Jules. Car 131. Little Libby. Toby. Oh my gosh, those names. Leslie. Hello from Ohio. Ohio. My God. Ohio. Hello from Ohio. What is wrong with me? Beth, how's it going? I might need you to run this lunchtime live for me today. We are live on YouTube as well. So I'm also slurring my words on YouTube. My God. Get it together. Oh my goodness, I've so got to get it together. Let's do this. Okay. I don't know. Listen, I went to buy a few groceries this morning. Was punching in. I always do self-check. Punching in my PIN number for my debit card and drew a blank. I've been using this card for over a year. I've never had an issue ever with remembering my PIN number. And you know how it's like if somebody asks you a question and you're just like, it just totally leaves your head. I looked at that keypad. I knew the first two numbers and I punched them in and I was like, I totally don't remember. I totally don't remember my PIN number. Hello, Southern Man. Hello, Smoozy again. Anyway, that's how my morning went. And I was like, well, I might need a break. I might need a little rest. I'm having a senior moment over here or some menopausal moment. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I was looking at your energy as a collective lunchtime live, and I was asking Spirit, what do you guys need to know the most today? What do you need the most encouragement with? What is going on in your lives as a collective? Hello, Michelle. And what can we share today that would help you get through this? And what I was pulling out was that yeah, it was a senior moment, all right. A lot of you are feeling uninspired. You're also not able to see, you don't feel like you have any options, or you don't feel like there's options in front of you to choose from, as in, what options? There's this life and then there's this life. And I'm not thinking outside the box, or I'm just feeling very boxed into the life that I'm in. And I don't know what to do. And then you have this time of transformation, of growth, and we are always changing. Change is inevitable. Everything in life is change. The flow of life is change. To grow, to evolve as a spirit, to be able to have a greater connection, to have a better understanding of how to operate in life from a place of more love, more compassion, more mercy, more understanding, more forgiveness, all those beautiful things. How to do that, but also how to give that to yourself. Okay? Now, life is always calling you and pulling you to change. But for some of you, some of us, I'm going to include myself in that. Change can be scary. Change is outside the comfort zone. Change is not something that it's uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable. We get really used to our day-to-day routine, our day-to-day life, our day-to-day way of being. This is how I handle things. This is just me. This is just who I am. It's just who I am. We say that as a throwaway line to make excuses for our behavior, to make excuses for ourselves not having to change. We blame other people. Oh, well, that's just because they're the way they are. And we don't self-reflect. We do all kinds of negative coping skills, all kinds of deflection, all kinds of things to avoid looking at ourselves, self-reflecting into ourselves, and coming about a change because it is uncomfortable and it is also quite scary. There's a lot of fear of the unknown out there. Just is. And that when we let that fear take over our life, we get into stagnation. Okay. And if you've ever seen anything that is stagnant or is in a state of stagnation, what does it look like? Like, think of a pond that you've seen that's stagnant. It stinks. It Nobody wants to be around it. Nobody definitely wants to swim in it. It looks all murky on the top. It just gets more and more unhealthy. But what life is and what life is doing and what your spirit is constantly doing is wanting to flow. And it's calling you to flow with it. And a lot of times that flow looks like, are you sure you want to flow me in that direction? Are you sure about that? Because that looks very scary. But yes, it does, because even in the challenge of that, there is something that you can learn and something that you can grow from. So we're going to look into this energy that I'm seeing for a lot of you today. If this type of because I do talk a lot in spiritual terms, okay? And this may not be for you. And I'm not here to offend anyone or anyone's beliefs or anyone's religious upbringing or anything like that at all. I promise you. I'm here to help you connect to your own source of strength, your own faith, your own higher self, your own mission room, your own God room. I want you to connect to that as well. And I want you to listen to that, whatever that is for you. But I believe in getting in touch with it every day. Like, let's get in touch with it every day. Okay. All right. So, as I was saying, a lot of you are feeling uninspired. So, I just want to look at that. Like, what are some of you not feeling inspired about? What is it that may be causing you? And I'm going to put my glasses on because I have used my eyes so much this week and I'm struggling. I'm going to have to get something more than just reading glasses pretty soon, I really think. So I want to get some clarity on what some of you are feeling super uninspired about. What is this about? And again, if this isn't for you, I think a lot of you have been working on your manifesting abilities, meaning focusing on what you want in your life instead of what you don't want. And sometimes when we do that, we can get into this feeling of lack or desperation, and we start focusing on that instead of what is going right in our life. Or we start to attach to a certain thing, as in having to have a certain thing in order to be happy. I have to have this job, this form, this house, this person, it's that form that my happiness is going to come through. And that is just not true. That is a very big flawed premise, as Esther Hicks likes to say. That is a flawed premise. That is not true. And if you attach to a certain form as your happiness, as your outcome for happiness, you set yourself up for disappointment, and you close the door for God or spirit or universe, whatever your belief is, to come through and offer that thing to you through another form. You limit yourself. It's a limiting belief. Focus on what you want versus what you don't want. Yes. More of the to give your focus and attention. So I think a lot of you are feeling uninspired because maybe you have been trying to create some change. Yes, they have to have the happiness first. Surrender to where you are and be like, you know what? I would like those things, but I don't have to have those things to be happy. When it becomes a must have, when you put so much pressure on it, as in, I have to have this or I will not be happy, that's when you've created an attachment. That's when you are saying you've put so much pressure on this form coming to you. A lot of people get confused when people talk about manifestation or dreaming or wanting something, and you make out this big plan of how you want it to be. And instead of being fluid with that and flexible with that, you say, no, God, this is exactly how I said I wanted it. And unless you're delivering it in this way and in this order and through this person, I'm not happy. It doesn't work like that. You use those things that you like and that you know about and that you have in your current experience already. You use those things to bring about to you a feeling, how you want to feel. And you use those things to practice the feeling, to bring that feeling to you so you can do your feeling practice, so you can do your point B practice, as we talked about last week. But you don't attach to how you have it in your mind as I have to have this and this and this and this and this. So I think a lot of you may be feeling uninspired because you feel like what you're doing isn't working. Maybe it's not, maybe you're not trying to dream about anything or move yourself to a different place or have better in your life. Most people are. Most people are hoping for better. Your heart's desire is always pulling you forward. Change is always pulling you forward. Life is always pulling you forward. And you want to feel good in what you're being pulled forward into. I don't know anybody who doesn't. You want it to be wonderful and beautiful. And it can be. We're going with it, we're in the boat that's moving forward. So we have to work on our inner self. It doesn't matter, like, you can be unhappy in a tent just like you can be unhappy in $1 million house. It really doesn't matter about the container you're in. You got to work on what's within you first, so that then when you start to dream and manifest those things, you take your happy self to a place that even supports that happiness even more. But it's not that thing making you happy, it's your inner self making you happy. The happiness or the joy, I don't even like to use the term happiness because it's on the mental plane. Happiness comes and goes. Happiness is sometimes determined on an outer condition being met. But joy comes from no condition needs to be met for me to feel this feeling of contentment, of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of joy. No condition needs to be met. Or no situation has to be a certain way for me to feel that. I can feel that at any time if I nurture it and care for it and get connected to it. I can feel that all the time. There it is. It's not conditional, it is unconditional. Joy is unconditional, happiness is conditional. And you want to get to that place where you uncover that joy. And it's just a joy of being. I'm just happy because I'm being. I'm just happy because I am a human being. I'm just being. I'm not doing, I'm not thinking, I'm not planning, I'm not doing there's no action required. I feel joy within my being simply because I am a being. And the mind may wonder, well, what does joy even feel like? What does joy feel like? And the mind will say, oh, well, it's excitement or happiness or inspiration, or no, not really. That's the mind's version. That's that instant gratification, or those things that just make you feel, elated, and then it comes and then it goes. It doesn't last very long. Joy lasts. Joy is eternal. Joy is an eternal state that is within you right now. Each and every one of you have joy within you. Some of your joy is buried deep, 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 deep down. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. And for some of us, it's way down. It's way down because our hearts have been, our mind has conditioned our heart in how it feels or how it doesn't feel. And our mind has all this stuff to say about what's going to make it feel this way or feel that way or feel happy or not feel happy. We're not talking about that. We're going deeper. I have no idea why I'm off on this, but this is where we are. Joy is a constant state of being that is within you right now. Right now. Your bank account doesn't have to change. All your bills don't have to be paid. Your cancer doesn't have to be healed. Your family doesn't have to come back. It's there. And let me tell you something, if you can find a way to escape from your mind and tap into it, there's so much healing power inside of that joy. Lots and lots of healing power. It is like almost the energy of life force itself. So what does it feel like? I think to me, like, do I touch that place all the time? No. Have I touched and experienced that place before? Yes. Have I wanted to stay there when I got there? Yes. Did I stay there? No, because my mind came back in. My mind got bored and started talking to me again and led me off, into some room of my tidymind house. Got me all distracted, and I started following it again and started having a dramatic relationship with life again, and started the ups and downs and all the emotional roller coasters. And yeah, that's what the mind does. But there comes points in times for everybody, no matter what your spiritual practice is. Sometimes the mind will exhaust itself, and we call it hitting rock bottom. And it's in those rock bottom moments that we get in touch with that joy again. It really, to me, just feels like home. I could stay here for I'm done. I could stay here forever. Don't need anything. I don't care about anything. I have like an overpowering sense of indifference. Nothing matters in that space. Nothing. All the stuff that our mind says matters doesn't matter at all. And you realize it in that moment. In nature, yeah, nature can bring you to that point. And it is letting go. And your mind, that's foreign to your mind. If you ever I'm so tired of hearing people say, just let go, just let go, just let go. Well, your mind can't let go. Your mind will never let go. But what is letting go is you are letting go of your mind. Think about that one. You're no longer identifying with that mind as who you are. Here's my mind. Here's me. I'm letting go. I'm letting go of my mind and all of its cares, all of its worries, all of its conditions, all of its fussing, all of its fighting, all of its opinions, all of its judgments, all of its gossip, all of its stories. I am detaching. And when you detach, you float out away from it, and there is no dialogue anymore. The woods, yes. I've thought for a very long time about having silent nature retreats to help people escape the mind, because silence can bring you to that. Now, what happens? Your mind will fight and resist the silence. Any of you, if worked on your meditation practice, your mind will fight it and resist it because you're trying to detach. And your mind will call you over. No, 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 no. You need to be thinking about this. You need to be thinking about that. And you're like, doesn't matter. The truth of me, the deep down, honest to God truth of me knows that this game that you're playing, mind, this game we call reality, this outer experience that you get all worked up about and keep me all worried about and stressed out about, I know. Yeah, the mind is a JSG, you're right. It is. It gets us into so much trouble, and it is the cause of stress. But then you start to detach. And the longer and the more consistently you can stay aware of it and what it is doing, the more you stay detached. The more you stay detached, the more that joy is allowed to come up inside of you. And you find yourself driving down the road and you're smiling. And nothing is happening. Nothing's happened. There's a smile coming up on your face. You almost look like an idiot, like you're mindless, and the rest of the world are like, "What is she on?" or "What is wrong with her? What is going on?" But you found it. It is within you. You all have it right now. You don't have to do. Actually, the mind says, "Oh, well, I have to do things to get there." I have no idea why I'm going off on this tangent. This is not what I planned on talking about. The mind will say, well, okay, and you see this in the spiritual communities. Okay, well, I probably need to meditate when I first get up in the morning and probably again when I go to bed at night. I probably need to be doing my yoga to open up all my chakras for sure. I probably need to make sure I go to my prayer group every Wednesday night and stop missing, my prayer group meetings. I probably need to be drinking that tea that so and so suggested to open my crown and my third eye. Like that is a mental plan to get to a place that the mind doesn't know anything about and is constantly distracting you from with its routines and it's like methodical. This is how we get there. The mind is making a map to get to a place that it can't enter into. So you're just going around in circles and you're wondering. Now, am I saying that those things that I just mentioned don't work to get you there? No, absolutely not. Because sometimes when the mind gets out of the way enough, those things can help facilitate you breaking away. Do you need all those things? Do you need to meditate every day? Do you need a routine? Do you have to be like a drill sergeant in your spiritual practice? No. Absolutely actually, I still can't talk. The opposite of that. Don't matter. Sometimes when you give up and you say to your mind, I'm so tired of following you around and doing what you tell me to do all the time. I'm so tired of it. Not going to do it anymore. It's in that giving up that you actually go to the place that you've been trying to use your mind to get to. Hey, Jamie. She's late, but she's here. We are talking about joy versus happiness. I meant to talk about change versus stagnation. But when I was looking into why a lot of you are feeling uninspired, we started talking about your mind trying to get you to point B. When it's not the mind that can get you to point B, it is actually being in a mindless state that gets you there. So it's not through the doing. And a lot of times in your daydreaming, in your dreaming about options, you can kind of lose your mind in that if it can get out of the way and say, no, this can't happen and that can't happen, and all of its opinions about what you're daydreaming about. If it can get out of the way long enough for you to just lose yourself in the imagination of things, you can get into that alignment and into that flow and you can start to feel that joy. Is it based on that condition being met? No. It just feels good. That's all. Love that mind, Beth. You got to, like I was telling you, or like I've told a lot of you, a lot of times we want to shut it up. And I wish it would just, I wish there was no such thing. But also, if we look at it in the perspective of the inner child, before it will relax and let us detach from it, it needs to know that it's heard. It needs to know that it's right. It's not always wrong about the opinions it has. And it needs to know that we hear it, and it needs to know that somebody's apologizing for whatever it's been through. It's just how you get the mind to soften, to kind of be able to detach from it. Or it's just going to be a fierce force. You're just creating resistance by trying to make it shut up. You can't play its game with it. It fuels off of that. You have to be smarter. You have to outsmart it. You have to be the higher person. The same with how you deal with people in your relationships. Your mind will say, oh, you should just go tell them. You should tell them how they should treat you, and you should tell them off. But sometimes, and many times, give that no communication, give that no attention. When they're acting a certain way, keep them moving. And they're like, wait, what? You're not gonna stop and argue with me about that, and you're not gonna set me straight, and you're not gonna tell me off, and you're no, I'm gonna keep moving. I'm gonna hold my peace. I'm gonna hold my joy. I'm not getting entangled with my mind or your mind right now. And what happens is that gives them they're like, oh, let me self-reflect for a second. What's going on with me? because they weren't triggered by that. That didn't pull on their emotional strings at all. They didn't engage with me. Now, if you engage, now that's two minds. Bop, 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 bop. This is a challenge, okay? This is a spiritual practice. Staying detached from their mind, staying detached from your mind. The mind is a very powerful thing. I want to look now. Why are some of you having a hard time feeling like maybe you don't have options in life? Some of your mind's closed to the fact that you do have options. Some of you thinking that you have limited beliefs or limited thoughts of this can never happen and that can never happen. Why is your mind like that? That's coming from your mind, because all things are possible to those who believe. And for my Christian audience, with God, all things are possible. Some of you have an outlook on life of it can never happen for you, or it never happens for you, or you have been jaded by relationships, jaded by broken, seemingly failed relationships. As in, you can't get that emotional fulfillment just isn't for you. It's just not meant for me. It just never happened for me. That is a limiting mindset. Yes, sometimes too many options can be paralyzing, and you're not really sure which way to go. But if you change your perspective and say, "Oh my gosh, thank you for all these options, and there's a beautiful experience down each and every one of them. I can't get this wrong." I think it's when the mind gets into that mindset of, I'll mess this up and I'll get this wrong. That's when that's the fear of getting it wrong, doing it wrong, making the wrong choice, making a mistake, the fear of mistakes, the fear of the consequences that come from making the mistakes, the fear of missing out because I chose the wrong path. But if you look at all those options of like, oh my gosh, thank you. All of these are going to work out. Why is only one path going to work out? Why do we think that? Why do we have this limiting belief that only one of those things can work? Why can't all those things work? Maybe they look different. Maybe they're different in the process. Maybe we learn different things on that path. But why can't they all have positive outcomes? Why can't no condition really matters as if we're wanting that joy? Anyway, the joy is there. We don't have to go anywhere or go down a path or change or evolve for it. We carry it inside of us. It's right there. All we got to do is sink down into it. All we got to do. I make it sound really easy, don't I? Now, let's look at why some of you may be resisting a little change and talk about that, and then we'll probably go, because my mind, like I said, I can't even say Ohio today. What's going on? I think I need to rest it. Things are always working out for me. So a lot of you are having a lot of endings and a lot of beginnings. There's a lot of endings and a lot of beginnings going on. Not just like small insignificant endings or beginnings, like big changes, an end of one chapter, the beginning of another chapter. Yes, I've had a busy week. If you've been watching on my other channel on YouTube, I've been posting videos every week. The end of one cycle, the beginning of another. Look at the colors. Yeah, the moon, we've had a lunar eclipse and we've had a full moon in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. It's about stability. Look at the colors in this dress. Thank you. JLR, tell me your first name. So The colors on this dress are rainbow colors. And I think a lot of you are not seeing that there is a rainbow at the end of this tunnel. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. There are good things coming for you at the end of this chapter. And then it really doesn't matter. Like, I really want y'all to get that this is just an experience. It is an experience. And the game is to be able to go through the experience with as much love, mercy, and compassion as we can have for ourselves and for others, to share that with ourselves, to share that with others. All the stuff that happens in between is usually just to make us better at that, to make us better at loving, to make us better at forgiving, to make us better at mercy, to make us better at compassion, because it shows us all the place where we lack those things, whether that be for ourselves or for other people. Every experience is about that. Please come up higher with me for just a second. A lot of you are thinking on the terms of a physical plane of, oh, well, my life, my career, it is just stuff. My romance, my money, my this, my that. You're thinking on a physical, one individual experience. But the whole game that is being played right here is how you experience all that with the most love, the most compassion, and the most mercy that you can, and the most fun. This is supposed to be fun too and enjoyable. Don't, no. Mercy. You throw mercy at them. To be able to see to come up out of that mess. The mind is what keeps you down in the lower perspective of, oh, this is hard and difficult, and this is what is happening, and I'm losing or I'm winning. We get into that mentality of it's going really bad or really good. I'm succeeding or I'm failing. I'm losing or I'm winning. But that's not what this is. This isn't this black and white game that the mind plays. It's all these things are happening. The things that there's things your mind doesn't like, and there's things your mind does like. The things your mind doesn't like is tearing down its ego, which is wonderful. It doesn't like it. It complains about it. It cries about it. It goes into emotional despair about it. It stores things in its basement about it. Then there's things it does like. And it wants more of that and more of that. And then it struggles and strives to get more of that. That's the game that is playing. But it is really about coming up higher and saying, was I attached to my mind that whole time? Was I so into the game, into the simulation, if you want to look at it as like, was I so into it that I hurt people out of fear to get what I wanted and what I needed? I said hurtful, hateful things to people because I was afraid they were taking something from me, that I was jealous, that I was envious, that I was resentful, that I was bitter, that was I so mixed up in the fear of it that that's how I interacted? Or was I able to, in those moments where it looked like, you know, their mind was attacking me, or their mind was doing all these things that my mind didn't like, was I able to detach and say, oh wow, I'm not going into that fear with that person. I'm not going to put my own spirit through that. I'm not getting down into that nasty, stagnant, fearful state of being where I'm attacking and it's dog eat dog. I'm not going into that. I'm going to rise above and stay above and say, wow, they think this is serious. They are really getting into this. Look at them arguing. Wow. Look how mean they're being to each other. Look what they're doing to each other. Look how they're hurting each other. But look what the opportunity they have to learn from that, and for their egos to kind of die a little bit and their spirits to come alive. Look at all the suffering that they're creating with one another. That's what this is about. Coming up out of it, looking down and saying, look, what are we doing to each other? What are what is this mind has this strong belief, and that we do this in our spiritual communities. You got people who their mind has a strong opinion of what God is, and how it should be, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and there's fear all mixed up in that mind, and then they fight each other, and it's like, whoa, if we're still doing that in our spiritual communities, where we're trying to practice being up here and seeing what our mind is doing, we're still getting deep in the fear in our religion and our spiritual communities. What chance does the everybody else have? If we're the ones drawing on our faith and we're still doing this to each other, what are we doing? It's about coming up out of that and seeing that's a mental opinion, that's a mental opinion, that's based on fear, that's based on fear. We're butting heads and tearing each other down and creating wars and fighting with each other. Oh, sorry. I hope I didn't lose you. My battery's about to die, but I'm almost done. We're fighting each other and we're losing the game. Okay? It's just a game. But we'll have chance after chance after chance. People will come up against us to help us see what we need to let go of. It's all it's about. We take this thing, this experience that we're having so seriously. It's so serious. And you can't treat me like that. And you can't do this and you can't do that. And you need to be doing this better. And you need to be doing that better. It's like you're missing the point of the game, is to come up out of that, detach from everything your mind is saying, and say, how can I send love to this situation? How can I illuminate this situation so not only myself can come up higher out of this fear, but everybody else can come up out of this fear that we're having together? Fear of fear of not being loved, fear of being judged, fear of being separated. It's all a lie. How can I help everyone else? Oh, thank you. How can I help myself come up out of that and stay up here? And how can I not get engaged and pulled back down, and now I'm suffering with everybody else? How can I stay in that place and not only stay here but help other people come up here? Love them through it. Become the safe space. We've talked about that, how to become a safe space for others. Stay in the love, stay in the light, stay in the knowledge of the truth. Stay connected, stay detached from your mind, stay detached from the lies, stay detached from the fear. That's all. That's all I got to say about that. I'm tired. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If y'all would like to join me on my other channel on YouTube, it's Illumination Tarot. If you're not into that kind of thing, it's okay. I don't care. But for me, it helps me stay up here and bring in the light and the illumination for everybody else to stay out of fear too. So if it helps you, come on over, join me. And if it doesn't, meet me here every Friday at lunch and we'll keep talking about it, okay? Everybody have a wonderful week. I will see you all next Friday. Okay, bye. You're welcome. And I forgot how to hang up. Bye, YouTube.